Being here in America doesn't make you an American. Being born here in America doesn't make you an American. Why, if birth made you American, you wouldn't need any legislation. You wouldn't need any amendments to the Constitution. No, I'm not an American. I'm one of the 22 million black people who are the victims of Americanism. One of the 22 million black people who are the victims of democracy. Nothing but disguised hypocrisy. And I see America through the eyes of a victim. I don't see any American dream. I see an American nightmare.
We want one thing. We declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
It used to be a time that you didn't have to convince black people they were black. It has now become an option. People can select to be black. Maybe I'll be black. Maybe I'll be Republican. Maybe I'll be Democrat. Maybe I'll be an immigrant. Maybe I'll be this or that. Because they didn't have a choice. We were in a reality that forced us to know, you black. Whether you like it or not, you black. And then lo and behold, we got this black man in the White House, and we certainly had a post-racial reality. We suddenly felt that blackness was something that one may or may not choose to be because America was bigger than color. We were in a world that was bigger than color. Some of us were so intelligent that we'd already gotten to that point. And in our intelligence, we thought we'd already surpassed these possibilities of race. And we didn't want to deal with this racial thing and this preoccupation with race. Who needs to be bothered with race? I am a graduate of Harvard. I went to Yale. I've got a PhD, I've got an MD, I've got an LLD, I got a DD, double D, UD, BA, MA, I've got that, I've got the other. I live in this part of town. I got 2 Cadillacs, I got 3 Cadillacs, I own 6 banks, you own 12 banks. That somehow we'd already had crazy people who had transcended race, but they were few and far between. But suddenly with this election of this person who we all could identify as at least being identifiably black, we were able to somehow get a massive identification with this idea that we've come into a post-racial reality, and the fact now that those of us who are here represent a minority that really think that race still is an issue.
This is black.
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 This is black. This is black.
This is black.
This is black.
This is black by popular demand.
A lot of black men, they have to, like, they look at people in certain ways. They have certain, like, because they don't, where they're from, you just have to be tough sometimes where people come from. And so, you don't want to be the snitch, or you don't want to do certain things because, that's how they were raised. I just think it gets old. I think people need to train more. They should really have to go through in-depth diversity training. And some people say they do, but I feel like you just never can believe it. I was talking to a friend of mine who's African American, but they said that they don't really, that the Ferguson case or anything in that matter really matters to them. And I was just appalled because I feel like just because it didn't happen in Youngstown or it's not happening wherever you're from, don't mean that it's not affecting you, because it is. Because any cop could, just they just do it. They do it all over, even though it might not have happened here. They just still act as bullies to. I don't know. It just really upset. It does upset me.
We definitely are discriminated against through the law enforcement and in school, obviously. Especially being a black woman in America is 10 times worse because we're a double minority. So I feel like it has definitely increased. I think it's awful. In some, in poverty neighborhoods, it's awful because, the police officers, it's either they don't show up or they show up too late, or, when they do, they come at a time when you're not doing anything. Look at Trayvon Martin. I think that was an awful, case, and he got off. Black man getting shot by doing what? Nothing. He didn't even have a weapon.
Being black in America means that almost anything hasn't changed since 1963. Police brutality, still having problems in the black community, still have racial divide in this country. It's even getting worse and worse every day. The amount of black people that still believe that racism exists is overwhelming. After the matter is, black people all over this country still have, a distinct fear when it comes to police because of the past events that's happened over the last century.
Being black in America today is how having self-respect for yourself and then for one another. As African Americans, I don't feel like we give ourselves enough respect. I feel like we put ourselves down. And even in society, I feel like we get put down a lot, way more than we don't get credit for what we should get credit for, and we don't pay attention to what we should pay attention to. You have to have some type of self-respect, and that's where it started.
You gotta value yourself. It seems like black through the day, we get so distracted with a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, and we're not in love with the people like we used to be. We used to rally and march and everything. We used to be in love with each other. Now we rather fight and kill each other, and then get mad if somebody else happens to kill one of us. Then everybody wants to get in an uproar about it. But hey, I think to be black in this society, you have to have values with yourself. You have to love yourself and love your own kind. You can't be worried about the next man and not focusing on what you need to do as a man.
We don't take accountability for the things that we do. So we dress a certain way going to class. We dress in pajamas going to class oh, it's just class. It's just a 30-minute class. I'm leaving in 50 minutes, whatever the case may be. But we don't see that, honestly, we at a predominantly white school. We're the minority in America as well as the minority in college. So we don't show ourselves any type of respect or take accountability for the things we do, about the things we wear, the way we act, the way we talk. None of it. It's just all ignorance, or it's all I don't know. I guess you could say ratchet, because that's the word we all use now.
A lot of times, if somebody commits a crime, everybody will be quick to yell, "Free you!"
Yeah.
No matter what they did. How you kill somebody and you want to say "free him"? Obviously, he just killed somebody. Why are you saying "free him"? That makes no sense. I feel like we'd rather celebrate nonsense than try to actually celebrate something we need to do. If somebody got accepted to college, oh, that's cool. But if somebody go to jail, oh yeah, he cool, he get cool points because he's a tough guy. That makes no sense. Instead of focusing on what we need to focus on, everything's always unimportant that gets attention, and it shouldn't be.
I think we don't support the police at all. We don't support nothing that they do. If they take one of our people away, the police the bad person. But we not thinking about Lil Pookie, who just robbed the corner store and shot 3 people in that process. So what if you want Lil Pookie friend and you was at that store and you got shot? Now your family gonna be the ones who saying take him away, and his family gonna be the ones who be in that home no, I don't want him to go to jail. We look at the police and point the finger all the time. Now in certain situations like Ferguson, yeah, that boy stole what he stole, but they weren't supposed to shoot him and gun him down like that. If we put down the guns and actually unite on certain events, certain things, it wouldn't be so much forget the police and shoot this person, shoot that person, because everybody having a good time.
Even though some people may not agree, because I'm actually in the career field now and I'm studying to become a peace officer, I see where they are trying to make a change or trying to make that difference.
There's a great deal of challenges among our young people, particularly today. Not that there's a difference in terms of generational kinds of issues, but because most of the time when we're dealing with police situations, it's our younger generation or our younger population of students, and many of them are having some major challenges because their way of communicating is a lot different. They speak different kinds of languages because they do texting as opposed to speaking the King's English. Because of these challenges and people's inabilities to be able to respond to one another, in a manner that allows them to build communication systems, we're continuing to find that we're having problems with the way that black students in particular and black young people in particular are responding to law enforcement, and the way that law enforcement are receiving the kinds of responses that they are getting from younger people. So what we need to do is to try and build the bridge that will allow us to better communicate with one another and eliminate the kinds of things that happened out in Ferguson, because that's what we're having some problems with. The images that they are seeing is that they're being abused and abused and abused by police, but no one's talking to them about the way that police can be helpful to them in terms of building their particular skill set in terms of communications. And that's where we want to go. That's why our students are sponsoring events like Black by Popular Demand. Because if we don't talk to them, we don't have communications with them, we don't have a networking system into working with police forces in our community, then there's no way of gaining access. And when you lock off access or whatever to students particularly, they're not going to communicate with you, because we have many different vehicles that we can use now to communicate with one another if we don't want to talk to one another. But when you don't know people, you don't have a network, that causes a problem.
They're more so quick to put us behind bars than they are willing to provide us with job opportunities, the proper education, and the finances to back it up. This is something that should not be. This causes us to have a huge gap between us and society, when in society we should be working together as a whole to build and further our future. And I believe because we are misunderstood, the police they tend to find a way to point out our flaws rather than connecting with us and trying to actually interact with us.
I feel it's a struggle because even though like we free, being black in America is like, I don't know if I'm gonna live to see tomorrow for real. I can go out and get arrested or get, whatever, just because of the way I look. So I think it's still a struggle. Police presence in like the black community, it really doesn't help. Either they're looking for somebody to arrest or they're looking for something to get into. Just saw this video last night, and this man got pulled over, and his lady got pulled over. He was in the car. They're both black, and they asked for license and registration, but they went to him and asked him for his license and registration, and he was like, well, why do I need it? It's a simple question. So the police then went and broke his window, opened the door, pulled him out of the car, and started beating him with a club. For what reason? Police presence in the black community, that doesn't help.
It's a really touchy subject. As black people, we have the mind to do anything that we want to do. Once we put our mind to it, it's like gold. Sometimes I do feel profiled. So even with me having the hairstyle that I have, even with me having dreads, it's like an automatic stereotype. It's like we can't do anything as black men without getting looked at in a stereotype. Then all this stuff that's going down in Ferguson, it's painful to see as much as people like Dr. King and Malcolm X fought for it. It almost feels like we bring in, those Jim Crows back around again. That's how it feels.
Tell us why this Black by Popular Demand thing is so important to you. It came from the police brutality that we were seeing, like Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, and now you have another killing that just occurred a couple weeks ago with Von Derek Myers. Trying to reach out to everybody in the community, everybody on campus, and just address these situations, know our rights, and know what we need to do and how to address these situations with these officers. When they come up to us, we have to do better. So to be black in America today, it's a constant reminder of white privilege. Leave your mark. That's my take on it. I want to leave my mark. I want to impact the community.
Not a lot of black people graduate. I was talking to a young man down at the rec. He graduated from East, and it was like, I was talking to him, and he was like, yeah, well, I don't know whether I want to go to college or not, because I don't think college is for me. Why not try? Why not see where your potential is? I was talking to him. He's a very bright young man. I had to see the background behind his answer to me. He's been through a lot. He didn't have that father figure. And if you don't really pay attention to that, then you won't understand somebody's character or how they act or what their mindset is. Because a lot of people are misunderstood. I just encouraged him. You build friendships out of being real.